Hey, thank you so much for showing up. This is super cool. Show of hands, how many of you have watched at least one of my videos? Oh my gosh, okay. So you've got some context for who I am, but for the few who don't know, I'm gonna give a little bit of an intro here. So, and feel free to tweet me or send me a DM if you want. So contrary to popular belief, I don't do YouTubing full time. It's only my moonlight job. Residential real estate in the Denver area is what I spend most of my time on. I am a Model S owner. I crossed over 207,000 miles on my way here from Denver. So, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing, right? I have a lot of experience in a Tesla, and probably more, I've spent more time in my Tesla than I should. I also run the Denver Tesla Club, which is a really fun organization. Yeah, we got some representatives here. We just crossed over 1,000 members in our club. So it's a very fast growing club. Of course, it's an indication as to adoption of electrification. And then, as I said, in my spare time that I have, I enjoy creating electric vehicle content. But what I want to talk about today is this challenge that we're in the automotive industry, where you have this newcomer named Tesla that is challenging these very entrenched traditional automotive companies, and it's really exciting to see. We're on the cusp of some significant disruption in the automotive market, and it all started here with this Model S, a 2012 Model S. Now, some of you might be thinking about the Roadster. I know that they created a two-door Roadster before this, but this is really where Tesla started generating some notoriety. Initially, though, people thought they're not going to make it. They're electric cars. They're not viable. They're not a viable option. And then they came out with this. They started to generate some notoriety, some awards, and people got behind the wheel and understood that it's actually a really fun vehicle to drive. And the experience, the infotainment experience, the technology, the over-the-air updates created this really fun experience in an electric vehicle. And then we started hearing about Tesla killers. Now, I'm not sure if that's the automotive industry saying those things or if it's the media, but regardless, it makes for an interesting headline. We saw some articles in the news. Here's the first Tesla killer. The Karma unveils 1,100 horsepower two-door electric vehicle. I'm not sure where that one is at the moment. You've got the Audi e-tron. Of course, this one has come out. They've started producing, and I've actually spent some time in this one, and I really like it a lot, minus a couple of important features like range, which we'll talk about in just a second. You've got the other Tesla killer, which is the Mach-E. I'm actually kind of excited about this one too, minus some challenges I won't have time to discuss today. You've got Volkswagen ID.3. You've got the Faraday Future Tesla killer. You've got Porsche's Taycan, which is here. It's a beautiful car. I really like it. But the range, I think, is a little bit limiting. And then the ultimate Tesla killer, the Chevy Bolt. I'm not sure. I mean, I was talking with Gally about this a moment ago in the green room. But when you look at the two, I'm like, God, that one looks so much more appealing to me. So Jaguar I-Pace, excuse me, for the British people in the room. SF Motors. We've got the EQC, Mercedes EQC, all these Tesla killers, but you can see this is sales from 2019 from Inside EVs, and this small little bar right here is the Tesla Model 3. So when you look at Tesla killers, and then you look at the sales of what's going on in the electric vehicle market, so far, it's been very challenging to top Tesla. Now that could change, hopefully it does, because at the moment it's just overwhelmingly convincing that Tesla is the electric vehicle market leader. And then the next one below that is the Tesla Model X. You have the Chevy Bolt, the Model S, Nissan Leaf, Audi e-tron. They started, I think they've got about 9 months of production in the US. So not a full year's worth. And then you've got BMW i3, Jaguar I-Pace, Hyundai Kona, Kia Niro, Hyundai Ioniq, and then the Porsche Taycan. Now that's only 1 month's worth of Porsche Taycan. That's 130 deliveries. But this is what the Tesla killers look like. But let's dive in a little bit deeper to sort of unpack why automotive companies are having a hard time. So you probably saw this if you watched Galley's presentation. This is a buddy of ours, Matt Joyce. He created this really cool EV core efficiency chart. Now this is not just comparing electric range, because sometimes that's not always an apples to apples comparison, because you have large vehicles, very heavy vehicles, you have very small vehicles. But what he has done is taken the battery size, divided it by the range, divided it by the weight, and you very clearly have a market leader as well in EV core efficiency. Model S's for their highest range vehicles are at the very top. You've got some representation from Hyundai there with a couple of their cars. Volvo Polestar 2 has not quite started production, will start very, very soon. And then you've got a list of some others that I personally am very much looking forward to that will start production this year or very, very soon. So let's take a look at something else. A lot of people who respond to my videos, my tweets, in the comments say that it's not just about range. Well, I decided to query people who follow me on Twitter. I've got a little over 3,100 respondents. I gave them 4 options. I did allow them to add some additional things in the comments, but I gave them options to choose from range, price, self-driving or semi-autonomous features, and then performance. Which one was the most important? Over 54% said range. So this is directly from what consumers are saying in real life. Range is top. Range is king. And then you've got price. So over 75% say range and then price are the most important things when considering purchasing an electric vehicle. So you'd think that automotive companies who are creating electric vehicles would just hone in and be obsessive about range and making it something that is competitive. So why is range the most important thing that respondents said? I've got some ideas on this, and I think, first of all, it's that range is not quite yet at parity with a gasoline vehicle. It's getting pretty close, because it sounds like in the next 12 months we'll see a 400-mile electric vehicle with the Tesla. The charging infrastructure is not as dense as gas stations yet. This is changing really, really fast, and it's exciting to see. I drove from Denver to LA last year for the Model Y event, unexpectedly, because we had a blizzard come in and the flight got canceled. But when I got back from that Denver to LA trip, I looked to see if I could do that on a non-Tesla, and it wasn't possible. But today, the Electrify America network has continued to grow, and I think that for the most part, I probably could do it in a non-Tesla. So it is changing quite fast. And then the last one is that range is most important because it provides this travel, this freedom to travel. Even if it's just perceived, it is this freedom to travel around and not just be stuck inside a metro area. So here's what range by EVs looks like. It might be pretty easy to see here, but I'll just read the top 4 off for you. So the Tesla Model S comes in at about 373 miles. I think they actually increased that recently. You've got Tesla Model X, you've got Tesla Model 3, and then I stick something in here to underscore a really interesting point. This 4th one, the green one, says 2012 Model S. This is in here because none of these others have managed to top a 2012 Tesla. And this is maybe not a direct indication, but this is definitely a small indicator for where automotive is thinking. Why? This is a rhetorical question. Why has automotive not managed to top a vehicle made 8 years ago? So we're going to dive into this, and I'm going to show you some things that I haven't yet talked about on my channel and I haven't shared yet on Twitter. So you ready? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. All right, so I asked Sandy Monroe this in an interview. You probably saw this. This is the one from August. I asked him why it's so difficult for automotive to compete with Tesla, and he said, they're buying the powertrains from someone else, and you're going to see this as a trend throughout the rest of this presentation.
Why was there a Christmas tree in August?
That one actually, yeah, good point. That photo was from I time traveled. That photo was from December because I did interview him a second time about the Cybertruck, which is a really, really insightful one if you haven't watched it. So my friend Gally, he's here, and we had a chance to attend a one-day electric vehicle conference hosted at Sandy Munro's office. And he spent a lot of time talking about this standalone versus integrated approach. So let's do a couple of slides here and break down why Tesla is winning in this electric vehicle market so far. This is a breakdown, a chemical breakdown of magnets inside of electric motors. You can see here the density of the Tesla Model 3 magnet is far better, far more dense than the standard automotive magnet. This primarily comes from the neodymium, the ND. You can see there that they're clearly winning in the most important parts. This is a zoom-in version of that Model 3 magnet. So this allows Tesla an industry-leading neodymium in the industry, which allows it for superior conductivity. And as the end user, it means that it's more compact and a more powerful motor. This is a comparison between the Chevy Bolt and Model 3 high voltage cabling and what Tesla does with one cable, the Chevy Bolt does with 4. Here's another look at the cooling system, what Tesla does with an integrated approach. The Chevy Bolt does with 3 separate systems. And you start to add all of these separate systems up, and it equates to a range that is not as good as what Tesla is producing. So here's the inverter converter circuit board. What the Chevy Bolt does with 2, Tesla does with 1. And there is a backside to that circuit board, but also I'd like you to take note of the density of the circuit board. Tesla is able to create a circuit board that is far more dense, can do more on a single circuit board. Takes up less room. I think that's one probably advantage. There's Tesla in the red box, Chevy Bolt in the rest of the slides. So here, I want to talk a little bit about battery packs because this is also something that Tesla is doing incredibly well. You have different ways that automotive makers are doing the battery packs. Tesla does a cylindrical cell. You probably have seen this. It looks like your standard battery. But you've got other automakers who are using pouch and prismatic style cells. But why? Why are they doing that? Tesla is the only one that I know of right now in the automotive market that is using cylindrical. Everyone else is using prismatic or pouch. Rivian, yes, they're not making it yet, but yes, they are taking the cylindrical approach too. So I had a chance to ask my friend, who he's now become my friend, but he's way smarter than I am, Ravi. I've done a couple of interviews with him as well on the channel. He's an energy storage PhD scholar. To give you an idea about how smart he is, after he finishes his PhD program later this year, he's going to be working for Jeff Don up in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So it gives you some idea about the knowledge that he's got. So I asked him why Tesla's the only one using cylindrical cells right now who are producing vehicles. He said that it's the least expensive per kilowatt hour to create a cell in that cylindrical format. It also gives for better cell structure integrity because it's encased. The casing is an aluminum cell, whereas the others are not encased per cell. And then there's a higher cell pack longevity. You're spreading out the taxing of that battery pack between a little over 4,000 cells in the Model 3, whereas everyone else, it's between 200 and 300 cells. So you get a lot better integrity. When you're fast charging, it's being spread out. And if you ever have an issue with a cell, because you've got thousands of them, it's less likely to impact the entire pack. So this is a slide from a presentation back in 2017 by a former Tesla executive named Kurt Kelty. This to me is really, really exciting. A lot of the things that they're talking about here in terms of how they're going to drive down the cost of battery cells is a lot of what we're seeing today at Tesla. The acquisition of Maxwell, the acquisition of Highbar, this sort of teasing out of something really big coming up at this Battery and Powertrain Investor Day. But I find it really fascinating that their pathway to reduce the cost of batteries includes optimizing cell chemistry and mechanical design, consolidating supply chain, on-site vertical integration, scale volume, joint innovation of improved production processes, and reduced duties and shipping. We're seeing this now with gigafactories. We're seeing this now with some of their acquisitions. Tesla is doing some things that no other automotive company is doing. So this is something that Tesla released when they started marketing their very first gigafactory out of Sparks, Nevada. This is the process that they use to manufacture battery packs. They're thinking about controlling that entire life cycle, that entire process from beginning to end. Right now, Panasonic manages this, but there's a lot of talk in the industry that Tesla will soon manage everything from raw materials to production of the vehicle. So another reason why Tesla is leading and why it's so challenging for automakers to compete is that they're developing their own software. Traditional automotive has this tendency to outsource and buy from third-party suppliers, but if you want to make the best electric vehicle, you've got to control the things that are most important in that EV. So I would say that number one, it's batteries and cells. Two, it's electric motors, so we've covered those three. Three, it's software. Tesla is developing their own software in-house, and they are really a software company. If you look at that, it's as Gally has said, it's a smartphone on wheels. And because they're developing their own software, they can control a lot more of that process and make it work in a very streamlined way. So to wrap up here, I want to take some questions here. So please get your questions ready. Why is Tesla winning, or why are they so far ahead? It's this obsession with vertical integration. It's this intent focus on dominating the things that matter the most in the electric vehicle. And so far, no one has managed to do that or compete with what Tesla's doing. You've got managing of the battery process, you've got managing of the electric motors, and then you've also got just domination of this software piece. All of that together creates this very dominant product. And if I were to look at what the market has to offer in 2020, what we can expect to see, I'm most hopeful for Rivian because they're taking a page out of Tesla's book by creating this integrated approach versus this standalone approach that the traditional automotive industry has taken. So that's my presentation. Can I take some questions before we have to wrap up?
Hi, Sean. One of the things that you pointed out kind of at the end was the software. Honestly, I would feel that the software that's the secret sauce to Tesla. All of the hardware and the batteries, everything, every other car manufacturer can make. I don't see the other manufacturers, they're not hiring the software people, or they're outsourcing and saying, oh, we can add this little thing over here. But it's the software, stupid. And the thing is, Tesla is ran by a software engineer. Yeah. Elon Musk has been a software engineer all of his life. And that's just one of the areas that they're concentrating on. And that's why your cemetery of Tesla killers, they're going to keep growing until they get the software portion correct.
Tesla is, it's amazing what they've been able to do in such a short amount of time. The software piece is really interesting to me. I really think they're just scratching the surface of the potential. So it's not just the self-driving autonomous piece, but I also have a lot of prospect for this software as a service, this recurring revenue through software. So Tesla's going to be able to push out products that owners and drivers can buy, a lot like what we see with our phones, with the Google Play Store and the Apple Store, where we can just purchase products that enhance the experience inside of the car. And of course, when the car is driving itself, we're going to need something to do, right? We're going to need something to entertain ourselves with. So yes.
Hi, Sean.
Hi.
What are your hopes for the Ford Mach-E? We're all EVs. We want everybody to succeed, and just see these automobile manufacturers rolling out something to placate, and they don't seem like they've given it their best shot. And Tesla owners love them, but I want other EVs like Rivian to succeed and to come to the plate and give it your best shot. Is there hope for Ford Mach-E?
I'm really hopeful, and automotive companies Tesla needs automotive companies to succeed with their electric platforms, because they're not going to accomplish their mission if they don't. In terms of the Mach-E, I'm hopeful about the range. The range seems very promising, and the way that they address that makes me think that it will either be more than 300 miles or less than. But it's an American automotive company, and I'm hopeful, and I'm sort of projecting this into the universe here, that it's going to be higher than 300 miles. So I do like that it's far more competitive to Tesla than what others have produced. They've got a lot of work to do on the software side. I did have a chance to play around with the user interface at the LA Auto Show. They need to hammer that down, I think. But if you don't know the Tesla world and you're not looking at an apples to apples comparison, you've owned a Ford, your family has owned Fords for generations, I think it's a very convincing product. My biggest concern is not the range piece, but it's, can they produce this vehicle profitably? They're using a 99 kilowatt hour battery pack. So for what the Model Y can do in terms of range, they're using a 75 kilowatt hour pack. They're going to be able to get that same range, or actually greater now, because they just bumped that up. They're going to be able to get greater range. The car is going to be not as heavy, and so you've got that cost there that Ford has to consider. They're buying and putting in a larger, more expensive battery pack that has less range. So the thing that is yet to be determined is, can they produce that vehicle profitably?
Hey Sean, my name is James, Model 3 owner from 2018 with 25,000 miles on it. I've been blown away at the quality and reliability of it. I'm just curious, you said you've just crossed 205,000 miles on it. What your experience has been in terms of how the battery's held up and just overall the reliability of it?
Yeah, I mean, overall they're designed really, really well. I guess it's too hard to say that they're the best in the market in terms of managing the degradation, but I think they're pretty damn good. I early on was probably not the most responsible electric vehicle owner. It was a smaller battery in the beginning. It actually had some plastic surgery. It started off as a 60 kilowatt hour pack. I was using that because I drive a lot. I was using it quite a bit, exhausting the range pretty quickly and supercharging almost every day. When I got to about 130,000 miles, I put that, it died. The last time that I had that battery was, I was driving home. It was pretty late at night, actually. It was like 1 in the morning. I had about 38 miles of range left, and the car tells me that it's shutting down and I need to pull over. Like it's that sound that I unfortunately know so familiar. The car is shutting down. It's giving you that ding that it's shutting down. Well, come to find out, the battery pack was imbalanced, and I think it had to do a lot with how I was treating it. It got a replacement. They gave me a 75 kilowatt hour pack. But so, do as I say and not as I do, please. It's designed very well, and if you take really good care of it, don't charge it to 100% every day. Try to minimize the supercharging as much as possible, because that does accelerate the wear on the battery pack. And then the other thing that I would advise any electric vehicle owner is, as best as you can, don't charge it 100% every time. Some vehicles set that for you, but I think it's made very well, and I think that they've got one of the best, if not the best, battery packs in terms of managing it and longevity of the battery.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for the insights. One question on your slide for the battery packs with Tesla and non-cylindrical cells. You highlighted some of the major attributes that it has, but didn't quite touch on why other companies aren't utilizing their own cells. Obviously, they know these things. Is it patents, or what else could be pushing them away from the technology?
Yeah, I don't think it's patents, because obviously Rivian is doing a similar approach. it's got to do something with the cost. So though cylindrical cells are less expensive, I don't know if you've ever opened up or seen pictures of Tesla's battery pack. It's incredibly complex. There's a lot going on there. So I would say that even though cells are less expensive with cylindrical than they are the others, it's taking Tesla longer to build those battery packs. But with, let's say, a pouch style cell, you have less cells. They're also bigger modules, so it probably takes less time to produce. That's my guess. I really don't know why, but and I've asked a few people that, and I haven't really gotten a good response, but it probably has something to do with the production time.
Hey, a few people have suggested that Tesla might license out their skateboard and powertrain to other manufacturers.
Yeah.
Do you think they would, or does that hurt their brand?
I think I've sort of been a part of that rumor. I'm one of the ones that probably has started that rumor. I think it's interesting. Does Tesla really need to do that, number one? Second, can Tesla afford to, with all of their ambitious plans to create their vehicles? I mean, so you not only have the vehicles that they're making right now, but you've got the Model Y, which is going to ramp up, which will probably sell better than the Model 3. You've got the semi-truck, which is going to require a lot of batteries. You've also got some of these other vehicles like the Roadster, which they haven't started to create yet. You've also got their power grid, their battery packs for home battery storage, and then utility scale. So the more that I think about this, the more that I think I don't know if they can even facilitate that. They've got enough demand on their own, and probably if they execute on those vehicles well, they probably are very well set from a monetary perspective.
Thank you for all you do. With your connections, or maybe just with your insights, do you have anything you can tell just us about Battery Day?
Our little secret. I've signed an NDA with Tesla, so there's a lot that I can't share. And you know, Elon has disclosed some of the stuff that I knew about a quarter ago. I did have an opportunity to talk with him in a very small setting, and I had a chance to ask him some questions about where Tesla is headed. So though I can't share exactly what we talked about, the stuff that you hear me say on videos about how excited I am, how it's going to be really, really big, is true. It's you know. So maybe that's not what quite you're looking for. Like, you want a little bit more juicy information, but I would probably get a text message right now if I shared a little bit more than that, because someone's probably live streaming this. It's incredibly optimistic. I'm very hopeful that what they're about to produce is going to be the next generation and the next iteration of electric vehicles, and it's really going to grow the entire automotive market. They're market leaders right now in terms of range for the price, and I think this next iteration will push them above 400 miles. That's really, really exciting, and I think it's going to sort of lift the entire industry as they start to produce the newest and best technology. It's also going to allow some of the older technology to be available, maybe not because Tesla is providing that necessarily, but because, you know, it allows for others to sort of come into the market and create a less expensive cell per kilowatt hour. So it's exciting, I'll say that.